Michael. Thanks for being on my show, Director Talk. And it's a pleasure to have you. Um, so tell me about your journey as a filmmaker. How did it all start? Like you're an indie filmmaker, and have you been a filmmaker since like long, or you were working somewhere else and then you came into films? How was the journey?
Um, well, first I want to say thank you for having me on your podcast show. It's an honor to be on your show. I appreciate it. My journey as a filmmaker, I started when I was in college, actually.
Okay.
My original profession was I was playing basketball in high school.
Okay.
And I didn't get recruited in high school, but when I went to college, I got a scholarship and I was getting noticed, and everybody, liked the way I played. And I had a lot of big universities were looking at me for D1 because I went to a D2 school.
Okay.
Then what happened was I got injured and then I had to come back to New York
Okay.
and I continued my education in communication, TV, and film. But
Okay.
while I was out in the West, you know, pursuing my first passion, which was sports, I got a degree in computer science. So I have two degrees. I have a degree in computer science and I have a degree in communication, TV, and film. And that's when I started the journey, which is my second passion, to make films. So I finished up my second degree in films and I created, with my college buddies, my first independent film called Vengeance is Mine. And all my college buddies, they used to make fun of me. They said, well, it's hard to get into a film festival. What are you doing? JR, it's ridiculous. And I said, we're here, life, takes you different places. Why not give it a shot? Well, out of four of them, two of them stayed with me, the other two left, and they didn't want nothing to do with the college film, So we created it, we did the short, and it won Best Film of the Year
Wow.
that year in 2008. So before 2008, I was acting. I've been in the movie with Syriana with George Clooney. I also been in the TV show Rescue Me and Law and Order. I was in Law and
Wow.
Order.
Law and order. Mhm.
So yeah, so when I did the background work and I got feature roles, I wasn't getting what I wanted out of films. So
Mhm.
I said that's when I went into school, got my degree, and I said let me create my own films.
Mhm.
So that was Vengeance is Mine. So we created Vengeance is Mine. It did well in the film festivals in New York. And then from there I just started, producing my own independent movies and I started to get on other people's movies and my career just slowly but surely started to take off. But, the funny thing about being a director and being outside of Hollywood,
Mhm.
doing it, not the conventional way, you have your highs and you have your lows. And then life comes in when you have a family that you got to pay your bills too.
Okay.
So, I was also working as what do you call that, a therapist
Okay.
for disabled kids. And I was teaching them um, how to use computers and, how to do films and stuff like that. So it was kind of right up my alley.
Okay.
And it was it's so funny. Your destiny, no matter where you go, it kind of creeps up on you, your passion and where you're supposed to be. And even though I try to say, okay, I'm going to do the conventional job, the entertainment keeps pulling me in. So I said, okay, well then you know what? Let me pursue that. So I left that field of therapy, teaching disabled kids, and
Mhm.
I went full force into the directing and acting field. And again, like I said, this industry is funny because it's about consistency,
Mhm.
not when you're going to make it. It really takes time. You got to have patience. And that's really what happened is that I had the patience and my family, they were like, this is really hard. I don't know why you want to do this when you could just, become a doctor or a lawyer. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do that because I'm not happy. I'm happy when I tell stories from a script, from the script to the actual videotaping and to the actual live motion of your story come to life. I enjoy that. It's my passion, and it's followed me ever since I was 21. So here I am today. As you can see, I've done the TV series Nightfall. Well, we're doing the TV series Nightfall, and it has taken a life of its own, and it's just evolved. And again, this is the part of my career where it's actually going up now because I went through the dips. This is the high wave. So that's how I got into this business. So as much as I want to walk away from it at times because it could be frustrating,
Mhm.
it just pulls you in
Yes.
and pulls you in.
It, I mean, once a filmmaker, always a filmmaker. It's that way. Uh,
Yes.
so let's talk about your the series that is coming up, Nightfall. Like I was
Hmm.
just checking out on your Instagram. You have been working on it since I think a year or two. Like Jack Walker, the character. I first actually thought you are an army man because that's the uniform and everything. It suits you well. It's kind of in the character. You've been in the character since a year or so. How did it happen? How did you script it, or is it inspirational, a true story, or something like that? How is it uh, happening?
well, well, the way it started, it's going to be funny when I tell you this. I was in my mother-in-law's house, and we were watching a political news, and I was sitting there in the living room, and I was listening to the news. I don't remember what the news was about. I know it was about Donald Trump talking about something, and something came to me, and it was an article that I've seen briefly. Like in the news, you see these little brief
Mhm.
information, and it was about sex trafficking. So I said, okay. And then an inspirational moment came to me, and I said, okay, this character Jack came into my mind, and sex trafficking. So then that in that moment, I didn't really think much of it. So that night, I went to bed, and I had a inspirational dream of this ex-military soldier who comes back, wife leaves him, and he takes on this job for transporting immigrants. But he finds out that the immigrants that he's transporting are really going to be used for sex trafficking, which he doesn't want to be a part of because he has a daughter.
Mhm.
So he feels for that. That's something he doesn't want to do. So that's how it came about, Jack Walker. And then I figured Nightfall, the title, because he's doing the mission at night. So I called it Nightfall. And then from there, that's how I started to write the series.
So this topic, sex trafficking,
Mhm.
how bad is it in the US? Oh.
It's really bad actually amongst minorities. Women and children are really being used for sex trafficking. And what's what I've researched and what I've discovered is that there's a lot of it's not a topic it's been brushed upon, but
Mm.
it's never really been focused on. And not too long ago, I think it was this year, they arrested in Georgia 382 people that were involved in sex trafficking in Georgia. So a lot of parents and teachers have said to me that it's a topic that should be talked about because there's not enough awareness about sex trafficking. So I felt that this series can bring that topic to light where parents and children can be aware of it, because it's really bad. Out here in Philadelphia, we had a woman who was being followed in Walmart by a mysterious van that
Mhm.
was taking little kids from Walmart for sex trafficking and kidnapping them.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know what divine intervention told me to write this, but I feel like I have to write it and let that message come out that this stuff is real and it's a big business. And it's sad to say that some families, they lose their kids, they lose their wives because of sex trafficking, and people don't know about it, and we need to talk about it. We need people to be aware. So it's really bad in the US, yes, to answer your question.
Yeah. So this Nightfall series, it will be premiering only on your YouTube channel, or are you planning to like market it and bring it to a wider audience through Netflix or maybe Amazon or OTT platforms? You know?
Um, as of right now, my team and I, we are not just going to put, we're going to premiere the pilot on YouTube. But we have right now, I don't want to give away, but we have Amazon and Netflix interested in it. And yes, we are pursuing Netflix. And yes, we want to bring it out to a more broader audience and do digital streaming. Yes, that's where we're heading for, digital streaming.
Hmm. So are you looking out for a backlash or something, because the topic is a kind of sensitive and it might involve mafia or maybe political groups, you know? You never know. Like, are you expecting something like that?
It's funny you say that, that it's a sensitive topic. And yes, certain people may be, uh, I guess, what's the word? Offended, I guess,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
they're involved in that.
Yeah.
Well, the series, here's the thing. The series touches Nightfall is about Jack Walker's life and how him coming back to the service from service 6 years later, and he's thinking he's going to be with his family, but yes, yet his perfect world falls apart. Sex trafficking is a subplot to the main plot, meaning that it's about sex trafficking, but it's not heavily focused on it. But I do want to create an awareness for people to know that these things are going on within the story of Jack. So Jack is taking you, it's almost like a regular person going through life, not knowing these things exist. And then something happens to his wife and kid, and he's experiencing it. So that's how I'm presenting the information without hopefully offending
Offending.
certain people, you know.
And when you're doing any kind of script, whether it's Nightfall or Vengeance, so how do you write it? You write it through the eyes of the director or through the eyes of the writer? Like, how is the difference?
Very good question. Very good question. My style of writing, and it's interesting you pointed that out. I know some directors they write to direct when they do the story, and then you have some writers who just flat out write with no direction. Well, for me, it's very weird. I get the actual vision of the scene already,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I'm a reporter writing what I'm seeing. So I can visually see how you're going to walk in, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and what you're wearing, and how you're going to your facial expressions is going to be when you say your lines. Like, it's very weird. I don't know if it's a gift, but I can see it that way. And then I write. Then I start to write and take notes and say, okay, Mary is going to go here inside the coffee shop. She will have her coffee mug on her left hand as she looks forward to the cashier to pay her. And she's wearing a blue blouse with brown pants and white sneakers. So I can see that already. So it's very visual in my mind. So that's how I write.
Okay, so it's very like you can say you have the gift of visualization and then you just write what you see.
Yes,
That's
thank you.
it. Yeah. Yeah. And you too have a coffee show, like it's Make the Bloody Movie Coffee, with where you
Yes.
interview all these personalities. How did that happen? How, what is it about?
Make That Bloody Movie with Coffee is a two passions that I love. I love to drink coffee and I love movies. So I figured, why not bring the two together? And that's how I came up with the name Make That Bloody Movie with Coffee. But it's so funny that the way the whole concept came was about 2 years ago. I had a terrible fever of 104.5 and I was hallucinating
Mm-hmm.
in bed. And just like I told you, I saw coffee and I saw a movie reel in my mind, and I said, okay, why am I seeing this? And I had visions of a voice telling me make and coffee, and then it just snapped, and I said, okay, Make That Bloody Movie is what I came out with, and I said, well, I like that, but that sounds too like a horror film. Make that bloody movie. What can I put that will also be catchy for people that they like to do besides watch movies? And I know coffee's a big thing around the world internationally. So I said, okay, make that bloody movie with coffee.
Oh, that's how it came out. Okay, that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I am a tea drinker, so
Oh,
not a
yeah.
coffee.
That's
Yeah,
okay. That's okay. You know, I could, one segment I could say, and what's your tea of the day, you know?
yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, then how did the COVID, when this pandemic came in, did it affect the Nightfall series or the shooting or the crew? I mean, it has been a difficult time for the industry as such, and especially for
Um,
indie filmmakers, it has been a struggle because we are not commercial. We are kind of independent. So how did that affect?
it affected a lot, but my team, one of my assistant directors, she told me that we needed to move forward with this project because she felt compelled that it's like me, it's a story and it's a topic that needs to be told, and we can't sit on this. So I said, okay, well, we need to take precaution because I have family and my father died of COVID, so I understand the risk factor that can happen. But she said, okay, what we can do is keep the production small and make sure that for those days that these people are coming in, we will have them quarantine before they come on set, and then we would film. And then we had all the necessary precaution of the hand sanitizer, the mask. You know, when they're acting, they don't have to wear the mask, but when they're off set, they have to wear their mask, and everybody was 6 feet apart from each other. So we did that, and it was hard. It was difficult, but 2.5 months of filming, we were able to do it, and we showed everybody like the moment they come into the set, you got to make sure we check their temperature, and we took the precautions necessary, and it worked out. Believe it or not, it actually worked. So I mean, I don't
Uh,
know what to say. But,
yeah, I've been seeing the teaser and the uh, trailer that you've put up on YouTube,
mhm.
and it's great for Nightfall. So it's kind of intriguing. How is the response from the audience so far?
From the audience, we have over 100,000 views on Facebook. On YouTube, as I know you saw, we have a couple of thousands over there. I mean, everybody that's seen it, they love the story, they love the concept. You know, it's a very intriguing story about, of course, Jack. But the way I could put it to you is it's action drama. So these characters are going to evolve with superpowers into the story. So that's what I'm saying. It's about sex trafficking, but it's also, think GI Joe meets Heroes put into one. So yeah, the people are loving it. People are gravitating towards it. And I get calls all the time of when you're going to air it, when you're going to premiere it, where it's going to be shown. We want to see it now.
Now, yeah, even I've asked you so many times, when is it premiering on DMs? Yeah,
I will I will let you know. I will let you know in as soon as we're done in January when we're going to premiere it, but it's going to be online, the premiere, and I'll send you the link and
yes,
stuff.
yes. So the character Jack Walker has been along for you for over a year. So do you remain in that character throughout, or you kind of switch to reality and come back to the character? How is it?
Um I it's funny you say that. I do method acting. So yes, I try to stay in character as much as possible, even at home, with the persona of Jack Walker, because my father was a military man. So I would wear his clothes and look at military movies, and I try to carry that hard, tough persona. And it's difficult because your family doesn't understand where this personality is coming from, and they get confused and they say, "Well, who are you?"
Who are
you
you?
know. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I have to balance, but I try to stay in the character as much as I can. Yes.
Okay. So before we wrap up, do you have any advice for directors, newbie directors, indie directors, actors, and a little promotion about your show so that audience would know, a wider audience would know about more about.
To answer the first question, my advice as an independent director to give out to another independent director, writer, is to follow your dreams because, this life is very short. And what's interesting about it is when you put something into the universe and you do things gracefully with passion, and you're very thankful for having this life and having this ability to express yourself, and the gifts, whatever gifts God gives you, and you follow through. Eventually it happens. You just have to have patience with it. And I tell you, since Nightfall, since Vengeance in Mind, from that point on to now, I've seen the evolution take place. And sometimes to us independent filmmakers, we get frustrated and we don't think that the efforts we put in is going to show. But trust me, I've seen the seeds that I've planted is bearing fruit now. So yes, follow your passion and don't let anybody tell you that your dreams cannot come true, because it can. That's what I would say. And for Nightfall, well, I will tell all your listeners out there that you can check out Nightfall at my Instagram at JrMichael27. I post up most of the stuff up there, and I will put a link to when we're going to premiere the pilot. Also, from Instagram, you could go into my Facebook. If you type in JrMichael27 as well on Facebook, it'll come up there as well. And I post, Make That Bloody Movie with Coffee, also my radio show, but you'll see that. But yeah, Nightfall will be in those two places, those two platforms where you can get more information on Nightfall, the series.
Thank you so much, Michael, for being on my show, and hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
I thank you for having me on your show. And I wanted to ask you one, are you still recording or?
Yeah, should I stop it?
Yes, go ahead, stop.
Yeah.